I guess this is Hero. How's everyone doing today? Acho by the game show. I just up case ho. So today I'm going over why everyone fears retrograde transits or retrograde placements. Okay. Now the main reason is because there's a higher tendency of something karmic happening. Okay, that's what it boils down to. Okay. Now we really don't need to fear this, right? But in order to not fear this, or in order to react appropriately when these things happen, we have to have the right mindset. Okay. So the reason why you could watch my retrograde video for more information on retrograde as a whole. But as far as why their results are considered so bad is because of the illusion that we want to control everything, right? We think that we can control our life going down a certain path, or that certain things could happen, etc. Right? I get this job and then this happens, I get with this person and this happens, or whatever, right? And then you could have some retrograde transit, like every 3 months, Mercury retrograde happens, or every year, Jupiter or Saturn goes retrograde for 3 months, which is a quarter of the year. And then your plans, your ambitions, your speech, your something all goes to complete shit, right? And this is not an accident, okay? We have certain karmas that we all came here to do. Now, those karmas don't necessarily align with our ego's plans, okay? So these things happen to kind of get our karmas going. So the first thing that we need to understand, and the reason why we shouldn't be so scared or so worriedly about these retrogrades, is that we didn't just come here to just goof off and enjoy riches and things like that. There's certain detachments that we came here to detach from. There's certain karmas, dharmas, everything, right, that we came here to do. So we have certain duties, we have certain obligations, we have certain things that are not just in line with the desires of our mind and our egos, right? So that's number one. You can kind of look at it in a sense that, okay, these retrograde planets, these transits, these placements, are, I guess you could say, dashas of retrograde natal placements, or when dashas are happening, certain dashas, those planets also go retrograde. These can be kind of like a gift that we can view it as, that, oh, wow, I was caught in this illusion, but you know what? I actually needed to do this. So the first thing is this: if something bad happens, it's not, oh my God, my life's over, whatever. I know you could think it like that in the moment, right? Because we have this plan, okay? We have this way we wanted things to go, but you need to understand that that plan was a false plan. It was just your ego's plan. You're deep down at a consciousness or soul level, you knew that that plan was actually not the real plan. Like the plan that your mind is, think about it. You think about how the next year you want your life to be, right? You probably are like, oh yeah, in April I want this to happen, June, July, whatever, right? Dude, it is not going to work out like that. Like, I can guarantee you, okay? But yet we still get so attached to the plan. And even, let's just say 2 months from now, the plan for next year changes. We're still so attached to that plan 2 months from now, right? Even though we know our plan has never been right, okay? But we just still get so clinged and attached to the plan. Anyways, it's just how it is. But we need to have the awareness to detach from the plan, so that when these retrograde things happen, we can actually view them as beneficial. Like, oh, wow, oh my God. Like it really causes, because the plan is an illusion, right? This plan is an illusion. Now, something else is that, yes, bad things could happen karmically, but sometimes when bad things happen karmically, we do other bad things that are not so karmic, but that we do bad things, right? Let me give you an example. Let's say Mercury retrograde happened and something bad happens. You make some kind of really bad business decision, you're in a car crash, something, right? That thing happens, fine, you can move on. But what could happen, and this you got to watch out for, okay, the bad karma happens. So you get in the car crash. Okay, you figure out how to detach from your favorite car or whatever, or something happens to your business. You realize, okay, maybe I should humble my ego, things like that. When these things happen, regardless of whether or not the next karmic desired thing happens, you decide to make all kinds of bad decisions, like alcohol or just drown in anger or things like that. Okay, now this is something that you do need to watch out for. So when retrograde, I guess you can say results happen, right? You need to have that awareness built up. So this is why I always talk in my video about awareness, right? Because awareness is how you see through clearly and really break out of the illusion, right? If you're still caught in the illusion, it's hard to kind of see clearly, right? Yeah. So your vision's going to be very blinded by your ego and your mind, because that's all you're thinking out of. But if you're thinking in terms of consciousness and things like that, you can really understand, okay, regardless of whether or not my ego and mind like or don't like or how they view this, I know truly how this is happening or unfolding on my path for this birth, okay? That's really the main thing to understand. So once you do that, then you can kind of go ahead and make the right decisions during this retrograde and kind of see how things are unfolding for you. But like I said, that requires a high amount of awareness. And like I said, there's some things that are very karmic in nature that are meant to happen during these retrogrades. But when those things happen, we don't need to go overboard out of ego afterwards and do other things that we might not have to do, but that will now cause our spiritual elevation to plummet down the toilet, okay? Because, yeah, sure, bad things could happen, right? And even sometimes we do things that the scriptures might not recommend during retrogrades that are karmic, right? That help us detach. For example, we could be exposed in environments or do things to help us detach from, let's just say, our spiritual ego, right? And this is kind of like a gray area, but sometimes these things could happen. But we don't need to particularly, because there are a lot of religious people that have high amounts of pride and self-esteem in regards to their spiritual life and religious life, right? That's fine. However, if that does happen, for example, and even if that doesn't happen, right, regardless of what happens during retrograde, we don't need to go overboard and do all kinds of disaster just because those retrograde energies are still present, right? So if we already have that, so the key point here is if we already have that awareness built in from before, but this is why it can't be just an overnight thing on the spot, right? I know that's kind of how we live our life today, right? We want everything right now just how we want it, all wrapped up nice and good, but that's not how it works at a spiritual level, okay? We need to already have that awareness built in so that when retrograde effects happen, we can see clearly how they're unfolding, right? So that we can appreciate them and have a more positive mindset about them, and so that we also indirectly don't do anything ridiculous afterwards and further drift away from our true spiritual self. Okay, so I think that's it for this video. Went on long enough. As usual, if you have any comments or questions, you can feel free to let me know. And until next time, I'll talk to everyone later. Thank you all very, very much for watching.